point because because Chaitanya Shikshashtakam can be understood from various perspectives. For example, you can interpret Chaitanya Shikshashtakam from the perspective of prayers, what prayers to do. Or Chaitanya Shikshashtakam can also be understood from the perspective of uh, of understanding the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, or maybe chanting the holy names. But here I am just focusing on the mood and the prayers while chanting the holy names. What Mahaprabhu is teaching in these 8 verses, how to chant, and specifically what's the mood while chanting, and how to develop that mood, and what are the prayers we are supposed to do, and how to pray and what to pray. So all these things we are discussing. Okay. Let me just offer obeisances and then I'll start. Om Agyana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmat Shri एक मिनट का वो देना. So yeah. So yes, yesterday I discussed Chaitanya Shikshashtakam first verse, and so I'll just recap it. So so in the first verse I discussed that Mahaprabhu is teaching us that we should chant with the mood of respect. So so when we are talking about mood of chanting, then so yesterday I explained that the mood is not comprised of one feeling. So you can't say say that, okay, so if you ask anybody what's your mood, so he'll not tell that I'm just happy. It's a mixed feeling. I'm happy but a little bit frustrated also with the system, but that's okay. But I'm little angry also because these things are not right, but overall I'm happy. You see, mood is a combination of many feelings. So so in Chaitanya Shikshashtakam, Mahaprabhu is teaching us with what feelings we have to do. So there are many feelings combined to make a mood, and with that mood we should chant. Like for example, rasa, the concept of rasa. Now what is ras? Ras is formed of many bhavas. It's not just one bhava. So Rupa Goswami explained this anubhav, satvik bhav, vebhichari bhav, isn't it? So there are many bhavs combined to form rasa. Or maybe when you talk about prayers, yesterday I explained, when you talk about prayers, when devotee is chanting, there are many prayers. There's not just one prayer. But the point here is, there is one foundational prayer on which all prayers are built. So what is a foundational prayer? That's the 4th verse of Shashtakam. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagdish kamai, mama janmana janmaneshwari bhakta bhakti hetu gitvai, which Prabhupada tells, oh my Lord, please engage me in your service. And from this prayer, many other prayers come forth, like the 5th verse. So kripya tava pada pankajasya dhuli sadrisham vichintya. Please accept me as your servant. Now, please accept me as your servant. This prayer doesn't make any sense if you are not praying. Please engage me in your service. Am I right? So there are many prayers, but there's one foundational prayer. There are many bhavas in one rasa, but there is one foundational bhava that is called sthai bhava. Sthai bhava is foundational. But then there are many other bhava, vichari, anubhav, secondary bhavas, like Bhishma Pitama, his sthai bhava with Krishna is dasya. But when he's fighting, then he's also experiencing veer bhav, veer bhav, which is secondary, veer ras. But his main rasa is dasya ras. So many bhavas combine to form one rasa, like that. So similarly, when you talk about mood, there is one foundational feeling which should always be there, and on that feeling, many other feelings are combined. So like I was telling, so when you chant, so when you chant, what kind of feelings should be there? There should be feeling of respect, there should be feeling of humbleness, there should be feeling of fear, there should be feeling of sorrow, there should be feeling of rejection, and so on and so on, which I will just explain. But the foundational feeling is of respect. That's what Rupa Goswami says in his Namashtakam in Nectar of Instruction. Tatra adaradhanudinam. Always chant with the feeling of respect. Rupa Goswami clearly mentions in Nectar of Instruction. Why doesn't he say always chant with the feeling of humility? If humility is so important. Why doesn't he say always chant with the feelings of love? He says always chant with the feelings of respect. Because that's a foundational feeling which keeps a gap between us and Krishna. Not exactly a gap, which actually makes a bond strong. Because we are dealing with God. Let us not forget, it's Krishna, but we are dealing with God. Okay, so the question was how to develop this feeling of respect. Now you can't say, oh my Lord, uh, so you can't say, okay, so from today I'll chant with feeling of respect, and then you just sit and chant Hare Krishna, just like devotees do, isn't there? Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, they are shaking and moving, and you can't develop feeling of respect. So how to develop this feeling of respect? Here comes the role of intelligence. Many people say that in devotion there is no role of intelligence. They are foolish. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Buddha Bhava Samanvita, 10th chapter, 8th verse. Am sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhav Samanvita. So you need intelligence to actually create feelings. Because we don't have any idea what how, what kind of feeling of respect is there when it comes to God, and specifically his holy names. So how to develop feelings of respect when you are chanting? That secret is given in the first verse. So first verse, what Mahaprabhu is doing, Mahaprabhu is telling the glories of holy name. Or maybe just so let me qualify. Mahaprabhu is telling the unique glories of holy, not just glories. Those glories of holy name, those glories which are not found in anyone else, any other mantra, any other tantra, any other siddhi, any other riddhi, any other demigod, they cannot do what holy name can do. The 7 effects what I told yesterday in the first verse, that only holy name can do. Nobody can do. So it's unique glory. So when you understand something unique in somebody, then you develop respect for him. If there are thousands of people and one person has the ability to fly and nobody has the ability to fly, then you develop respect. This is nice. If all 1,000 people are flying, then you don't develop respect for that particular person. So that's what I explained. Holy names can actually free of lust, can free of desire for lust. It can give you bliss of nectar of devotion. It can give you, it can make you experience rasa, and it can establish a bond with Krishna. So all these things, nobody can do. Even the most powerful demigod cannot do. That's why we respect holy name. So you see, that's intelligence. If by intelligence you apply intelligence to understand the glories of holy name, and then you will develop respect for holy name, that feeling. And then when you chant with this feeling of respect, then we can slowly advance in devotion. So that's the whole idea there. So when you develop respect and you chant, automatically concentration, you can automatically achieve concentration. So you can't do it vice versa. You can't concentrate and develop feelings of respect. That's not, you can't do that. I can't concentrate on one person and start respecting him. I need to know his qualities. That's all. So Mahaprabhu in the first verse, he is giving this a secret. Please chant with a mood of respect. How to develop respect? By intelligence, understand the glories of holy name. So that's the first verse. Okay. Now the second verse, Nadhanam, sorry, second verse. What's that? Nam namakari bahudani ja sarva shakti satrarvita nimata smarana kala etadrishita prabha bhagavan mamapi durdaivam idrisham yahajani nanuraga. In the second verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is informing us, okay, what is the next feeling which you should cultivate when you are chanting the holy names. The next feeling when you are chanting the holy names, the next feelings is feeling of let's say feeling of Durdayavamidrisham yahajani nanuraga, a feeling of sorrow. Now, feelings of respect should be mixed with feeling of sorrow. Durdayavamidrisham yahajani nanuraga. Oh my Lord, it's my misfortune that I don't have even a single drop of attachment for your holy name, even after knowing so much about the subject matter. You see the point? It's a matter of sorrow. So that that feeling has to be there when you're chanting. That feeling of considering of of it's it's not a happy fact. It's a sorrowful fact. I don't have this this attachment for holy name. So this is called generally called as considering oneself as 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 being a fallen person. I think in English it is called as arth. Sorry, Sanskrit is called as artha. I think Chaitanya Charitamrita uses its word in Antalila, artha. Artha means sorrow. Mahaprabhu is now sorrowful, and he's speaking the second verse. Krishna's Kavaswami explains all these feelings in Dantalila also. So that feeling should be there. Sorrow, second verse. And then the third verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishna manana mandena kirtana sadahari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us a secret here. If you always want to chant, this kind of feeling is very anukul, very conducive to chanting a holy name, the feeling of humility. The feeling of humility. The feeling of humility means that Krishna, I am nothing. I have no capacity. I have no understanding. I can't even understand Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, what to speak of other philosophies. Completely. Now that's the whole point there. So Madhvacharya, he comments on that. Whenever elevated devotees, they say to Krishna, Krishna, we can't understand dharma, we can't understand devotion. That means completely we can't understand. And if you can't understand any subject completely, then half knowledge is very dangerous. You see, it brings confusion. That's why all the elevated devotees, they say, Krishna, we are completely confused. Please elevate us. So that's a feeling of humility. And that has to be there. The whole idea, like Prabhupada said, I was hearing the lecture that Prabhupada said, don't be puffed up. You are facing infinity. Krishna is infinite. Krishna is the most perfect. And when people like us who are imperfect, when they're coming in contact with the eternal perfection, then automatically you feel humble. Just like an ant, if it comes in front of an elephant, automatically it will become humble, no matter how much the ant is expert in anything. So that feeling has to be there, humility. And also, we also are a devotee also feels humble because he thinks he's not able to serve his Lord perfectly. We are not able to chant and glorify our Lord perfectly. So that feeling has to be there. You see, so how to develop this feeling of humbleness? That's a question. So you have to use intelligence for that. So where should we use intelligence? Now, by understanding the perfection of God, you can develop the feeling of humbleness. That's how you develop feeling of humbleness. Krishna is perfect in his knowledge. Krishna is perfect in his qualities. Krishna is perfect in his dealings. That's very important. He's perfect in his dealings. That's very important to understand. And we can never perfectly serve him because we are imperfect. We are jivas. And that's what makes devotees humble. So you see the point here. So I'm so I'm developing a theme here. How to develop feeling of respect? The first verse says, by understanding the glories of holiness. How to develop the feelings of, okay, so I just missed the point. How to develop the feelings of sorrow? So the second verse says, by understanding the uh, uh, the offenses and the faults within us. If we understand what are my faults, by using intelligence, if we can identify our faults, if we can identify our offenses, automatically we will develop a feeling of sorrow. Oh my Lord, I don't have attraction to your holy names. I'm doing so many offenses. That's why. You see, uh, and that is intelligence, and that intelligence will be given by Krishna. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, yesterday I explained. He will give you intelligence to understand, he will give you intelligence to recognize your faults. He will give you intelligence to overcome your faults. But when you recognize, then you will become sorrowful. Oh my Lord, because of these offenses, I don't have attraction. Okay, so how to develop feelings of humility? Use your intelligence to understand the perfection of God, how perfect He is. And then automatically, when you face perfection, you will become humble. You see, so it's common sense. Uh, so when some great person comes, automatically we become humble. Automatically we bow down in front of him, because we know he's doing something which we cannot do even in our dreams. So that's how you develop feeling of humbleness, by understanding the perfection of Lord, using your intelligence. Okay, so you see, our mood is getting mature now. Feeling of respect, feeling of sorrow, feeling of humbleness. All these feelings should go together, and then you can chant nicely. Okay, so further Mahaprabhu says, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagdish kamay, mama janmane janmaneshwari bhaktat bhakti hetu. Here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is requesting us, instructing us to develop a feeling of servitude. Mama janmane janmaneshwari bhaktat bhakti hetu. A servitude which has no expectation. That's very important. It's not just a feeling of servitude. It's a feeling of doing service for Krishna eternally with no expectations. In other words, if I want to put it in one word, it's a feeling of being a slave. It's a feeling of being a slave. And Srila Prabhupada uses the word slave in Krishna book. Gopis say, Prabhupada translates, gopis are saying, we are your we are your maidens, we are a slave. So that feeling has to be the slave, a bonded slave. Krishna, you are my master, and I am your slave. I don't expect anything. A servant might expect some pay, but a slave cannot expect. He's a slave is uh, what's that? Yeah, the master buys a slave. He's sold to his slave master. That's all. So that's why Mahaprabhu says, Mama Janmane Janmaneshware. Mahaprabhu doesn't have the what do we call as courage. He doesn't have the courage to ask Krishna, Krishna, please liberate me from the cycle of birth and death. Even that courage is not there. And that's a very genuine request. Please free me from the cycle of birth and death, because the cycle of birth and death is an obstacle on the path of your devotion. Mahaprabhu doesn't have that courage. Why? Because he thinks he's a slave. A slave cannot speak anything to his master. As soon as a slave speaks, the master can beat him, the master can kill him. That's the whole idea. We can't ask anything. We have to simply give. So that Krishna likes a lot. So that's the whole point. So this is a feeling of being a slave. in the 4th verse. And how to cultivate this feeling of slave? Buddha bhav samanvita. So you always have to go to back to that verse 10:8. So how to feeling this bhava of of servitude, eternal servitude of being a slave? Now you have to use your intelligence. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaya. You have to understand the defects of this material world. I don't want money. I don't want follower. I don't want women. Why? When you know the defect in this, only then you will say, I don't want all these things. If you don't know the defects, then how you will say? If you don't know the defect in a female, then you will say, I want a female. So I have a wife, but I also want a girlfriend and 2 girlfriends. Well, you have to understand the defects of this material world. Dukkha doshanu darshanam, Krishna says. See dosha in this word. See the defects in this word. See what are the defects in a female. See what's the defect. I mean, so female should see defects in the male. Or in other words, see the defects in the lust. See the defects in the money. You have to understand how polluting is money. And Srimad Bhagavatam says that. Avanti Brahman, he got messed up. Na dhanam, na janam. So see what are the doshas in so many followers. Once you understand this, automatically mind will leave. Mind wants perfection. That's the nature of mind. Mind is looking for Krishna, but we don't know we are looking for Krishna. So anyway, when mind finds what's happening? Somebody has to mute. It's not a good idea. Okay, so wherever mind finds some imperfection, it will leave it. That's the nature of mind. So like when a boy goes to see a girl for marriage, and if he finds some defect in the girl, he will say, I don't want to marry. Right? That he wants a perfect girl. Or if we have some food, and if we see some defect in the food, oh, this is the so this food is not good. There is some kind of thing in this. We just throw it. Similarly, in this material world. So if you are in your own illusion, money is nice. There is money. There is no defect, and we can become so famous. Woman is nice, and this is nice. Then mind wants. So that's the whole idea. How to develop this feeling of being a slave? How to be sold to Krishna? How to develop this feeling? Understand the defects in this material world. And automatically you will not surrender to this word, you will surrender to Krishna. Because your mind will see, this material world is full of defects, Krishna is perfect, this is imperfect, mind will automatically gravitate towards Krishna. So Krishna's perfection we have already understood in the so in the previous verse. So I told you how to develop the feeling of humility by understanding the perfection in Krishna. That we have already done. That's done. So in this verse, when you start understanding the defects of this material world, your mind will leave the material world and will go towards Krishna, and it will become a slave. So this is a feeling of servitude. So you see, gradually your mood is developing. Feeling of respect, feeling of sorrow, feeling of humility, feeling of servitude, feeling of being a slave. And how to do that? By intelligence, understanding glories of holy name, respect feeling, and then understanding one's own defects and offenses. It will produce a feeling of sorrow, and then understanding the perfection of Krishna, it will help you to develop a feeling of humility, and then understanding the defects of this material world along with the perfection of Krishna, which you have understood in previous verse, that will develop the feeling of slave. And then Mahaprabhu continues, okay, you need more feelings. Krishna is all to do with feelings. He's not a dry person. You're not following a jnana process. You're not just here concentrating and just doing something mechanical. Prabhupada always said, bhakti means feeling. So we were hearing a clip and Prabhupada was saying, Patram pushpam phalantoyam yome bhaktaya prachati. Prabhupada says this is feeling. So you see, that's the whole point. So okay, so Mahaprabhu continues, no, this is not sufficient. We need more feelings. to chant properly, to have a proper mood. So then the fifth verse, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam pishamay bhavam badao kripya tava pada pankaja staduli sadrisham vichintaya. So Krishna says here, so Mahaprabhu is saying, oh my Lord, this kripya tava pada pankaja staduli, please lift me up and and uh, and keep me as a dust, like a dust particle at your lotus feet. Sadrisham vichintaya. Tava pada pankaja. Not as a dust, but like a dust. This is extreme humbleness. This is the limit of humbleness. I don't want your association. That's, of course, out of question. I'm nothing. I don't want even your lotus feet, because many devotees are desiring. Lakshmi is desiring for lotus feet. I don't want even to become a dust of a lotus feet, because there are many devotees of Lakshmi who are below Lakshmi. I want to become like a dust. It's the same mood, servant of servant of servant of servant. Mahaprabhu is saying. But what kind of feeling he's saying? Mahaprabhu is trying to bring here. The feeling here which Krishna Swami mentions in Antalila, when Mahaprabhu is about to speak this verse, is a feeling of fear. Bhai. I, and this feeling of fear is in this word I. This word epithet I. This word I in Sanskrit is used when a person is feeling, of course, sorrow, a lot of sorrow, but sorrow mixed with fear. So Mahaprabhu is very fearful whether Krishna will accept me or not. And that's why Mahaprabhu doesn't have a courage to say, accept me. Accept me as a lotus feet. Mahaprabhu cannot say that. Out of fear, he can simply say, please accept me as a dust particle of a lotus feet. And even that courage he doesn't have. He's saying, accept me like a dust particle. Because he knows any other petition will be rejected. Out of humility, which he has, which a devotee has already cultivated in previous verses. Now it's a sequence. Remember, it's a sequence. We're talking in a sequence. These feelings have to be cultivated in this sequence only. First is respect, then is this sorrow, then is humility, and so on and so on. And now Mahaprabhu is saying he doesn't have the courage. He thinks he has a fear that the whole point in this verse is he has a fear that Krishna will reject him. This feeling we have to cultivate. Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. Why? Because a devotee doesn't think he's a devotee. He thinks he's an offender. He thinks he's sinful. Why Krishna will accept him? So here the prayer is not to, of course he's praying, please accept me. But in other words, this prayer is coming from a fear that Krishna will reject him. That's why he's praying, please accept me. Please accept me at least as like a dust of a lotus, dust at lotus feet. At least that. Krishna, please don't reject me. That's the whole life. So that's a fear of rejection. Bhai, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Bhai is very fearful. Very fearful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. And out of fear, he's saying, Ainanda Tanuja. So you see the point. When you chant, there is a feeling of fear also. It's not just happiness. You see, it's very different how we chant. We generally chant, either we just finish our rounds, or we try to concentrate, hear the sound vibration. Prabhupada says hear the sound vibration, but that's for a very new person, he doesn't have any understanding of anything. Okay, at least concentrate on sound vibration. But the trick to concentrate on sound vibration, this statement is also applicable to advanced devotees, because the trick to have concentration on sound vibration is the mood. The feelings will help you to concentrate on the holy names. In fact, even Buddhists who have nothing to do with feelings, even they teach to their disciples, if you want to do proper meditation, do with proper feelings. even they, I mean to say, you don't expect, you don't expect feelings or anything from Buddhists.
Ah, Morello?
Right? I think somebody has to mute this like crazy. That's the whole point. Buddhist, Lao Tzu, he is a person whom we don't expect any feelings. I mean, so Lao Tzu said, make your mind empty. So people were trying to concentrate, and okay, I have to make my mind empty. But then Lao Tzu said, you're foolish. You will never succeed, because you should have a feeling to make your mind empty. You should a lot of feelings. You should do meditation. I have to make my mind empty. You see, so at least that kind of feeling has to be there. So without feelings, even dry meditation will not be succeeded. What about chanting a holy names? What about our process, which is only feelings? Bhavana, Amrit Sang, Krishna Bhavana. So this is feeling of fear, also feeling of rejection. It has to be combined to make a mood while chanting. Okay, so here till this fifth verse, Mahaprabhu is talking about us sadhakas, and beyond this point, advanced devotees, what kind of feelings they have. So when we advance in devotion, we can cultivate those feelings if we think, if we can understand we are eligible for that. So Mahaprabhu is saying, so what's the next verse? Sixth verse. Oh yeah, okay. So I just mind. So again we have to go to 10 chapter 8 verse, Buddha Bhav Samanvita. So how to develop this bhava feelings? You have to use intelligence. So what you should do? Mahaprabhu says, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishamudhavam buddho kripya tava pada pankaja sita dhuli sadrisham vichim. So Mahaprabhu says, oh my Lord, I have fallen in this material world, and I don't see any other way to get out of it. So this feeling of fear can be cultivated how? By understanding that you don't, that by your own sadhana, you can never achieve sadhya. By our sadhana, we can never achieve sadhya. That's what Mahaprabhu says. Shravan, what's that? Was that? Nitya Siddh Krishna Prem Sadhe Kabu na hoye. Shravan Adi Shuddh Chitte Swayam Uday. There is no sadhana by which you can attain Krishna. You have to really understand this point. Although we are, now you might say, we are doing sadhana to attain Krishna. No, we are doing sadhana to purify our heart. And when Krishna will be happy, when he wishes, then he will award love to us. So so it's almost like uh, so when you take admission in a school, then then you will get certificate. Am I right? So if you don't take admission in a school, how will you get any certificate? So sadhana is to make pure, and only a pure person gets admission into the list of Krishna. Otherwise, you're not in list of Krishna. When you're in list of Krishna, then Krishna will consider, oh, there are so many names. Now this person I'll give love because he has done a lot of service. There are so many pure people, but this person I'll give love. But if you're not pure, you are still not in diary of Krishna, personal diary. You are in an official diary. Your name is in an official diary of Krishna somewhere, because you are still trying to make yourself pure, or you are in an admission list. You are still in a waiting list. Yeah, okay, let's say when you are doing sadhana, you're in a waiting list. You're not in a you so your name is still not in a reserved list. You're still with Krishna. Is still with, Krishna doesn't have to see your name. Okay, you're chanting doing sadhana, your heart is becoming pure. When your name will be transferred to a reserved list, then he will consider, okay, whom to give mercy. You understand? So by sadhana, you cannot attain Krishna. You cannot capture Krishna by sadhana. You have to understand. That is why Vallabhacharya often said, to explain this, he often said, when your sadhan becomes a sadhan, then you will develop these feelings of fear. when your sadhan becomes asadhan, or when you lose confidence on your own sadhana, that by my perfect or whatever I think, that my perfect sadhana, we think like that, I can attain Krishna. When you will lose confidence, when you will start understanding, no matter how much I chant, no matter how much I do service, ultimately it's Krishna's will, whether he wants to give me love or not. Even I might do the best of sadhana, best of service, he might still reject me. He's independent autocrat. He can do anything. He does what he wishes. This is the whole point. So how to develop this feelings of fear? By understanding these 2 points. One point, that this patitam maham vishamaya bhavam, that your sadhana is not sufficient to attain Krishna. And second point, Krishna is independent. Whenever he wishes, he will give us love. It's not just based on the strength of your sadhana. Whenever he wishes, he will give. He's independent autocrat. He can do anything. He can do anything erratic also. And that is the secret Mahaprabhu is giving here. I Nanda Tanuja. By using the word Nanda Tanuja, Mahaprabhu is saying, this Krishna is autocratic. He's an autocrat. He's independent. He's the son of Nanda Maharaj. He's in Vrindavan and he does whatever he likes. He wants to play with friends, he plays. He wants to play with gopis, he plays. He wants to reject gopis, he rejects. Nanda Tanuja. He's the son of Nanda Maharaj. He's a prince of Vrindavan. He can do anything he likes. This is the point there. And by saying Patitam Maham Vishamaya Maham Buddha, and this word I, Mahaprabhu is mentioning that by sadhana, you cannot attain Krishna. You see, so these 2 points, if you understand, automatically you develop. Am I right? By my sadhana, I cannot attain Krishna. And even if I do my sadhana perfectly, still if Krishna wants, he will not give me love. Then you develop fear. What I'm doing? If even if I do perfectly, still Krishna might not give me anything. And then you develop fear, this feeling. So by understanding by intelligence these 2 things, you develop the feelings of fear. Now this is Patitam Maham Vishamaya Kripaya Tava Pada Pankajasya Taduli Samaya, like that. So this word Kripaya is very important. This word Kripaya indicate Kripaya and this word Nanda Tanuja, both of them indicates that we must understand that everything depends ultimately on the wish, independent wish of Krishna, which is not dependent on anything, which is not even dependent on your sadhana. That's the whole point, secret in this verse. Okay. So what are feelings now? Now beyond this point, go at your own risk. Let me just put it like this. Beyond this point, you're at your own risk. Beyond this point, it's pretty advanced feelings. So beyond this point, whatever feelings are there, we can worship it. We can try to appreciate these feelings and try to somehow, I think we can just appreciate. And maybe when the time comes, when we keep on appreciating these, we can develop these feelings. Okay. So what's the 6th verse? Nayanam kaladashrudharaya vadnam gadatarudhyagira kripya vadnam gadatarudhyagira pulkaya nichatam vapugada tavanama grahane bhavishyati. Now, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking this verse, Nayanam kaladashrudharaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, when will that day come when there'll be tear in my eyes, when there'll be horripilations on my body? When will that day come? So there is a feeling of hope here. Although there is feeling of fear, feeling of rejection, a feeling of sorrow, but there's a feeling of hope also. It's not a just I mean, so you're not just going in some darkness and it's just a hopeless situation. No, there is a ray of light. There is hope. And this also feeling is there when we are chanting the holy names. Even at our level, hope is there. maybe Krishna will become happy with us. Maybe. Now why? Now why he will become happy? Why will he become happy? I'm doing so many offenses. I am fallen, and I have a feeling of rejection. I have a feeling of sorrow. What will make him happy? That's the whole point. Even if I'm completely messed up, what will make him happy? My service is imperfect. What to do? But there is a hope. One thing will make him happy. What will make him happy? That Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami says, Tumi Patita Pava. Narottam Das Thakur says, he likes to deliver fallen souls. That also we know. And that's our qualification. To consider oneself the most fallen, to consider oneself as hopeless, that gives us a hope, because Krishna likes to deliver those people who feel completely hopeless. People who feel, people that Krishna likes to pick them up. Why he wants to do that? Because by that he attains glory. If he delivers the most fallen person, he will be glorious. Yes, this nobody can do, only you can do, Krishna. So that's why there is a hope there. Hope against hope. Let me put it like that. This is what Raghunath Das Goswami says in Stavavli. Hope against hope. So there is a feeling of hope against hope. Yes, Krishna can give me mercy if you develop these feelings. If you're not puffed up. If you don't just feel happiness while chanting. If you just feel happiness while chanting, then you're puffed up. Then you don't have a hope. So now you have many feelings in your bank account. You have feeling of respect, you have feeling of sorrow, you have feeling of humility, and then you have feeling of and then you have feeling of a slave, and then you have feeling of rejection. And all these feelings make you qualified for the mercy of Krishna, for the mercy of Holy Name. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the 6th verse is having a hope. One day tears will come in my eyes. One day I will also be, or in other words, one day I will also have a drop of love for Krishna. In other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, these all are external ecstatical symptoms. Tears in eyes, horripilation on body. These are external, isn't it? External symptoms of ecstasy. So that's there. Now how to get this feeling of hope? Buddha Bhav Samanvita. You have to use intelligence. Intelligence, what to do to get this feeling of hope against hope? Yeah, by intelligence you have to understand Krishna likes to deliver hopeless people. So you have to understand the mercy of Krishna by intelligence. Try to understand his mercy. By understanding his perfection. So by understanding his perfection, what kind of feeling we were developing? What was that? No, by understanding his perfection. I think by understanding perfection, we were developing the feeling of, feeling of humility. Krishna is perfect. And then you feel humble when you go in front of, when you face perfection, you start feeling humble. You're nothing. Your services are imperfect. So, but by understanding now here, by understanding the mercy of Krishna, specifically the mercy that he likes to deliver hopeless people. And Bhagavatam is full of these examples. Krishna delivered Gajendra. When Gajendra became hopeless, that he's about to die, he cannot win, everything is lost. Krishna delivered Draupadi, and she became hopeless. Krishna delivered, who else? Who else? So what else example I'll give? I think these are the two classical examples. Who else is there Krishna delivered? I mean to say he delivered so many devotees, but but many Kubja, you can say. Yeah. He delivered Kubja. Kubja almost became hopeless. Kubja invited Krishna to his house. Krishna said, I'll come later. And he didn't come. For many days together, he didn't come. He was busy in this and this. Kubja was waiting, and she became hopeless. Maybe Krishna will not come. Then he turned up. So you see, Krishna is waiting for that point when we become hopeless, when we develop these feelings of sorrow, rejection, along with feelings of respect, humility, and then we are ready. Then he will do feelings. So this is the point. By understanding mercy of Krishna, specifically within that mercy, you have to focus on the quality of Krishna, where he likes to deliver hopeless people. You see, when you understand he likes to deliver hopeless people, then you will develop a hope. Oh, now here's my chance. So that's the sixth verse. So this verse can also be applicable to our level to a certain extent. So then there comes the seventh verse. What's the seventh verse? Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravashaitam sunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahinam. Now this is the internal symptoms of ecstasy. Sixth verse was external symptoms. There are tears, horripilation. You can see that. Yugaitam nimishena. These are the internal symptoms. What Mahaprabhu is feeling within his mind. And here he's saying, develop the feeling of absolute disinterest in anything other than Krishna. Or let me say feelings of vairagya, if we can put it like that. Or feelings of, let's use that word, tuchhi kritam. Everything is tuch. So what do we say tuchhi kritam in English? Everything is negligible. Everything is okay. So everything is valueless, invaluable, have no value. Only Krishna has value. That this feeling we have to have while chanting. Only holy names have value. Everything except holy name is useless. And everything except holy name is not worthy of our attention. That's the whole point. So that is called a tuchiktam. It's not worthy of our attention and interest. It's completely useless, waste. Shunyayatam jagatsana. Everything is shunya. Everything is zero. I don't perceive anything in this material world. Everything is dark. In other words, I don't have any interest in anything. This feeling has to be there while chanting. Holy name is the most precious thing I have. Everything else other than this has no value. Completely trash, garbage. So feelings of vairagya, intense vairagya, that has to be there while chanting. Otherwise, your mind will get distracted here. So how to develop these feelings of intense vairagya? Buddha bhav samanvita. Use your intelligence. Now, where to use intelligence? Gaitam nimishena chakshusha pravashaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahename. So here there are feelings of let's say vairagya, and also feelings of separation simultaneously, because feelings of vairagya will produce feelings of separation. I don't have interest in anything. I have interest only in you, Krishna, and holy name. But I don't know whether you will accept me or not. I have a little hope, but still I don't know whether you'll accept me or not. And this will create feelings of separation. Whether you accept me or not. Lord, I don't know. I've lost all interest in everything. I'm interested only in you. But will you accept me? I'm still not sure. And that will produce feelings of separation. So feelings of vairagya and feelings of separation. This is there in this two types of feeling. This feeling of vairagya and feeling of separation are linked together. But feelings of separation better than saying feelings of separation is to say feelings of vairagya, because people can also imitate feelings of separation, right? Even neophytes, they just chant Hare Krishna as if they are feeling feelings of separation. Feelings of vairagya is proper. Yugaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam. That's why Mahaprabhu says. So Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam, that's a test for Govinda Virahena. If you are feeling Govinda Virahena without Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam, it's nonsense. What kind of separation you are feeling? So feelings of vairagya has to be there. Now how to develop them? So Mahaprabhu says, Govinda Virahena. So the trick here is Govinda. This word Govinda, Mahaprabhu uses the word Govinda, and he's trying to say, how do you develop feelings of disinterest and separation from Krishna? By understanding how much attraction Krishna has, his madhuri, his sweetness. The word Govinda is always related to sweetness. Gopis are always chanting Govinda, Govinda. That's very famous name. Govinda, who can attract the senses of his devotees, who give pleasure to his senses of his devotees. That's the meaning. Am I right, Govinda? So by understanding the the sweetness of Krishna, you can develop these feelings. By understanding the mercy of Krishna, so what kind of feelings you can develop by understanding the mercy of Krishna? Yeah, feeling of hope. You see, all these feelings have to be developed, but you have to focus on particular point by using intelligence. Okay, by intelligence, understand sweetness of Krishna, develop feelings of vairagya and feelings of separation, which is word in Govinda. And then the last verse, Ashlesheva padratam pranashtumama darshanam marmatam karotuva savadhatulam pado matprananatastu saevana. Oh my Lord, you are my master, birth, life after life, unconditionally, Prabhupada says. In whatever condition, in whatever situation, still you are my master. Now here, there is, so what Mahaprabhu is saying, whether you reject me, whether you neglect me, whether you punish me, still you are my master. Now here, what kind of feelings Mahaprabhu is recommending to us? Here there is feeling of utter surrender. Utter surrender. Now feeling of slave is also like that. Am I right? We talked about that feeling of a slave, and how to get the feeling of slave by understanding the what was that? How to get the feeling of slave? Yeah, by understanding the defects of this material world, and of course by understanding the perfection of Krishna, which we have already understood in the third verse. So it's almost like that, but it is more intense here. The feelings of complete surrender. Complete. A slave can be bought and he can be sold to another person, to another master. You can buy a slave and you can sell a slave. But here there are feelings of ultimate surrender, that, oh my Lord, if you sell me at this point, I will lose my life. I'll die. This is the whole point there. At this point, at this level, there's a feeling that without Krishna, you'll not be able to sustain your life. So that's why Srimati Radharani is saying, even if you punish me, still you're my master. Even if you cheat me, still you're my master. Because as soon as I think of leaving you, I will lose my life. I can't even think of leaving you. I will die. This kind of feeling is in Ashlesheva padratam pranashtumam. Extreme, ultimate surrender. Now, how to get this feeling? Now, this is a big thing. This is a highest level of devotion. And Krishna will test you. Krishna will do everything against your wishes. Whatever you want, Krishna will do against. And still you have to accept him as your Lord with full love and with no grudges. And Krishna might do now also a little bit. You might face reverses in your life. You might face some diseases. You might see some devotees are talking against you. All Krishna is planning to actually raise you to the level of Ashlisheva Padratam Pranishtavam slowly and slowly. So this kind of feeling of utter surrender, how to get that? Mahaprabhu is saying, Ashlisheva Padratam Pranishtavam Adarshana. You here have to understand the uh, let's say, what's the Janmadyasyata Anevaitarataschabhikeswarat, the the ultimate independent nature of Lord. Abhigeswarat. He's completely independent. That's the mood in this verse. So, my Lord, you're completely independent. If you can understand that, he is independent. Everybody is dependent on him. So this is where Madhva philosophy comes. Interesting, isn't it? So through Madhva philosophy, you can reach to the highest level of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So there's a link. So people say, come on, why we are in Madhva Sampradaya? What we have to do with that? Well, Madhva Sampradaya is a secret. They have a secret through which we can reach to the ultimate level of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Independent and dependent. Without understanding, and that's where Bhagavatam becomes Abhigya Swarat. He's completely independent. And if you're convinced by this fact, he's completely independent. He can do anything. And yeah, if you can understand that, and another thing, so not just this, he's completely independent. Otherwise, he'll be a tyrant. He'll be like Hitler. He's completely independent, and whatever he does, that's for the supreme welfare of conditioned souls. It might seem wrong to us, but we have to be convinced it is for our own welfare. Mat prana nathastu saeva napara. Nath, the word Nath is used. Pashupati Nath. So actually, this last verse, we have a feeling of let's say a feeling of a souled animal. Now we are not just a human; we feel like an animal. That is Pashupati Nath. Nath, the word Nath is used where they put Nath here and control. Animal cannot speak anything. Animal cannot, and the master, he beats the animal, he takes care of the animal. Animal is still with the pet animal is there always with the master. The master might kick the dog, but at the end of the day, it will come back again. So you see, we started a spiritual journey from animal and became a human, became a Vaishnava, and now again we have become an animal. Sold to Krishna. So what is lowest here, that is highest there. So yeah, we're like sold animal. That kind of feeling. We can't say anything to Krishna. He beats us, still we are with him. He loves us, still we are with him. He gives us food, we live. He doesn't give us food, we die. He leaves us, we die. That's the whole idea there. And that can only be, these feelings can only be cultivated when we can understand the independent nature of Krishna, and also we can understand that whatever he does, it will be for our wealth. If he punishes, it will be for our wealth, to teach us something. Now, if you understand these 2 points, so you can develop these feelings of utter surrender, feelings of being an animal, and being sold to Krishna. So these are all the when you combine all these feelings, then you have a proper mood of chanting. Then you can chant with a proper mood, and then you can attain perfection chanting of holy. So of course you can't get these feelings in one day, but you have to gradually develop them. start with the feelings of respect, first verse, and then gradually develop the feelings of, what's that afterwards? Udaivam, the feeling of sorrow, and then feelings of humility, feelings of being a slave, fourth verse, and then um, feelings of fear of rejection, fifth verse, gradually develop, and then feelings of hope, sixth verse, seventh verse, feelings of vairagya and separation, and seventh and eighth verse, feelings of utter surrender and being animal, being sold to Krishna. This is, when you combine these feelings, then you have a proper mode of chanting, and then Krishna becomes pleased. You see, so you see the whole point I wanted to draw. And this I'm not speaking. If you read Antalila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Goswami mentions all those feelings. With what feelings Mahaprabhu is speaking this verse? Because that's very important. Otherwise, what's the point of doing devotion? So this dry chanting, mechanical chanting, and concentrate and all these things, it doesn't help in long run. Because it's Krishna Bhavna. Prabhupada always said, where are the feelings? But at the same time, you can't develop feelings sentimentally as Sahajiyas do. That's why we need Acharyas, Parampara. We need philosophy. You have to understand things by intelligence. Not everything, but what has to be understood, that has to be understood. And then gradually you develop feelings. So like that. This is Chaitanya Shikshashtakam from the perspective of the mood of chanting. I've just focused on the mood of chanting. I'm not focusing on what prayers you do. Anyway, I've given you a hint. We can also discuss entire Shikshashtakam, what prayers you have to do. We can discuss Shikshashtakam from various levels. But here only I have discussed the mood of chanting, what Chaitanya Shikshashtakam can teach us. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to ask anything? Everybody's there or not? Hare Krishna. Yeah. Anybody wants to ask anything? Hare Krishna. Naveen Prabhu, are you coordinator or somebody?
Yeah, I'm here. So yeah, anybody wants to go ahead and ask questions? We have time. Still have half an hour.
15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay.
Yeah. And people can type their questions in the chat as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
One announcement, I think we had announced that there'll be 3 classes of Shishtashtakam and then the glories of Srimati Radharani, but there's a slight change. So today is the last class of Shishtashtakam for this seminar. So any questions anybody has, please use this opportunity.
How can we differentiate Sahajya feelings with real feelings for Krishna? Well, I just told, Sahajya feelings are not based on any philosophical conclusions. It's just bhava, not buddhi. So if you ask Sahajyas why you feel separation, why, they might say, oh, actually Krishna is so nice. That's all. Or if you ask them why you feel feeling of respect, oh, actually we have to respect him. They have no answers for why. And that's why I was explaining Buddha Bhav, how with intelligence you have to develop feelings. You have to understand things and develop feelings. Otherwise, it's all hollow. So Sahajyas, they don't have this kind of answer. They'll simply say, simply have feelings. Try to cry. Try to have this feeling. And if you can't have feelings, they will slap you. I know they are crazy. That's how we develop. If you don't have a philosophical base, then you are Sahajya. That's all. Sentimental. Okay, so when Krishna beats us down, how do we encourage ourselves to come back and serve Krishna? Well, that's what I told. When you understand Krishna is independent and he's doing everything for our welfare, then automatically, when he beats you, when he punishes you, you feel more encouraged to serve him. Because you then feel that Krishna is caring for you. Krishna is a good teacher, he's caring for you. When a teacher beats you, punishes you, now we are adults. As children, we might not understand. We might not have understood teachers who punish us. They were actually good teachers. But now we know Krishna punishes us. We know he's a very good teacher. He's helping us. So if you're philosophically clear about that point, then you will say, Mat pranananda nathastu saivana para. There is no other master other than Krishna. I'll keep on serving. If you're not philosophically clear about this fact, about the personality of Krishna, then you will become discouraged. And then we will leave. Or we'll become depressed. We'll not be able to come up back again. So that's the whole point. Or if you feel weak, you can talk to some devotees who have this concept clear, and then easily they can help you to come back again by explaining all these points. And literature should be what literature should we read apart from? I can't see. What literature should we read apart from Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita to develop a proper mood to chant holy names? Well, you know what? The best literature to develop proper mood is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, Shikshashtakam specifically. But if you want to read other books, well, you can read. I don't think so any other book will serve the best as Chaitanya Charitamrita. But you can read Harinam Chintamani, Bhajan Rahasya, but I don't find them as parallel to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita. As far as mood is concerned, all those books might not give you this understanding of mood. I have read, and they don't talk about mood. These books go more in technicalities. Harinam Chintamani is talking about offenses. Bhajan Rahasya, some steps to chant. But as far as mood, which is central to our philosophy, to chanting, that is only Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there is no other book other than Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sorry for that. Maybe you can write some book.
There's one more question in the chat, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. What's that? Prabhuji, while chanting, our mind wanders like a monkey. With a fraction of seconds, we have different moods. The mood depends on external environment. Is there any technique we can easily fix our mind on lotus feet and with a single mood? Well, the most FAQ. There's no easy technique. There's no shortcut to spiritual work. There's nothing like that. The mind wanders. You have to do your homework. You have to cultivate these feelings as I have explained, as Mahaprabhu has explained. You have to understand things systematically like this, what I've explained, and then develop these feelings. There is no easy way. So you're asking me a question like Prabhuji, so we have to prepare food for 10,000 people. So can we make food in 5 minutes? Is there any shortcut? You can't. It's impossible. So mind wanders like monkey. Okay. So then have patience. It'll take time, and try to start with first step. Try to develop respect. Okay, start with first step. Try to develop respect for chanting of holy names. Understand the glories of holy name, and then you will see automatically your mind will get fixed slowly. And you start the journey. Krishna will help you. So you read about holy names, glories. Try to understand the first verse, and you see you will develop respect for chanting of holy names, and your mind will not wander. How do we know how much philosophy is enough as it is unlimited? Well, the end of philosophy is satisfaction. Yam ladvana cha param labham manyatena tat adhikam. Gita says, after attaining that, nothing else remains to be achieved. There's end of philosophy. So to develop philosophy, what's the end of philosophy? When you chant, and your soul is completely satisfied and you don't want anything else in this material world, chanting is everything. And 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 let me not chanting. I mean, this is serving Krishna, not just chanting. Service of Krishna is everything, and I don't want anything except service of Krishna. If that feelings you're developing, I'm satisfied in this situation, serving Krishna. Then it means you're advancing. Then it means you are reaching the end of philosophy. That's all. When you're completely satisfied, yatma suprasitati, that's the end of philosophy. Satisfaction in service of Krishna. If you're getting that, then it means you are approaching the end of philosophy. Simple. Okay. I raised hand. Sorry. To develop mood of humility or being a slave, we should not pray for a favorable situation. If we are in an adverse situation, to execute devotion. Well, we can't. We can pray to Krishna to be in a favorable situation. It's not bad. But best is leave everything on Krishna. Because we don't know what is favorable and what is not favorable. We might think this situation is not favorable, but actually Krishna wants you to be in that situation to learn things. So then you might say, oh Krishna, please remove this situation. Krishna will tell, I have created this situation so that you learn tolerance and you learn to get free of false ego. So don't pray all these things. Don't pray. Just pray to Krishna. Krishna, guide me, teach me, lead me. Don't reject me. Don't let me fall down. And that's all. Wherever you keep me, I'm okay. I will try to understand your messages and your feedback. That's all. Hare Krishna. Okay, so if there's no question, then I think we'll stop here.
So tomorrow we will have the final class on the glories of Srimati Radharani, right? At 7:30
Yeah.
our time. And
Yeah.
no class on Sunday. Our time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.